Great. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jen Tremin, and I am the program manager with the Atlanta Beltline Partnership. We are the nonprofit entity for the Atlanta Beltline. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for part 6 of our Fix That Home Repair series on preventative home safety with our great partner, Kidda. The Fix That series is part of our Home Empowerment Workshop series, which is a set of informational workshops where we work with partners to teach homeowners and renters different resources and skills to help them be more secure in their homes. The Fix That series is a partnership between House Proud, Atlanta Land Trust, and the Atlanta Community Tool Bank to teach homeowners such as yourself some basic home repairs and skills to save money in your home and also be more safe. So we will be joined tonight by Kidda, which I'm very excited about, to learn some preventative home safety. So we'll turn it over to them in just a second when we hear from our partners. If you have any questions for our presenters tonight, just type those into the chat and we'll be sure to get to as many as we can throughout the presentation, and then some Q&A at the end. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Lisa with House Proud, and then we can hear from Karen with the Land Trust, and then CJ, you can finish us off with the Tool Bank.
All right, thank you so much, Jen. My name is Lisa Flowers Jones. I'm the Executive Director of House Proud Atlanta. House Proud is a small nonprofit. We provide critical no-cost repairs for low-income seniors, the disabled, and veterans, anything to keep them warm, safe, and dry. So think roofing, plumbing, floor stabilization, wheelchair ramps. With a very, very small staff, we've been able to serve over 150 clients thus far this year, with everything from, wheelchair ramp replacement to full roof replacement to full bathroom replacement. We are right now have funding for veterans and for folks who live over by the old Turner Field, which is considered Neighborhood Planning Unit V, which is Pittsburgh, Mechanicsville, Peoplestown, Summerhill, that general area where Turner Field used to be. And we still do have funding for Atlanta's West Side. So if you or if yourself or if you have a neighbor who live in any of those areas or fit in that demographic box as a veteran, then definitely do give us a call and we'll either try to serve you or get someone who can serve you. We are really pleased to be partnered with these great partners. And if you have questions, feel free to go to our website, which is at houseproudatlanta.org, where you can find my contact information and the contact information for the rest of our staff. And we'll be happy to try to help you if we can. So thank you so much. I'm going to turn it over to Karen Bibineau.
Thank you, Lisa. Good evening, everybody. I'm happy to be here as well. My name is Karen Bibineau. I'm the stewardship manager for the Atlanta Land Trust. And the Atlanta Land Trust is also a nonprofit organization that acquires, stewards, and develops affordable homes on properties that are in the Beltline overlay or around the Beltline. We are actually wrapping up our activities for 2020, but we are planning a virtual open house on December 9th, December 19th. So you can get information about that on our website, atlantalandtrust.org. All of the information on the current homes that we have, as well as the December open house, will be available on our website. And we hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation. And I turn it over to CJ.
Hey everyone, very happy that the Tool Bank can be represented here, and thankful for you, Sharon, from Kitty for doing the presentation tonight. The Atlanta Community Tool Bank is a nonprofit that serves other nonprofits by loaning them tools for service projects. And we also have a tool training center where we will train the general public, our member agencies, on tool use and some basic things like that. I enjoy working with at-risk youth in particular. And I'm going to just keep it short because I know we got some good stuff coming to us, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I'll pass it back to you.
Great, thank you everyone. And now I want to introduce Sharon Cooksey and Sean Summer, who are both with KIDA, and let them take it away and teach us all the great things about preventative home safety.
So thank you. Thank you to the Atlanta Beltline Partnership, the Community Tool Bank, Atlanta Land Trust, and House Proud for letting us be here tonight. We're very happy. We are from KIDA. It looks like Kitty. It's KIDDE, but it's definitely KIDA. Everyone does it. So if you have been in the store and said, I bought a kitty, that's fine because everyone does it. But just know that it is KIDA, like, duh, I should have bought KIDA. But we are the world's largest manufacturer of life safety products, and that means smoke alarms, carbon monoxide alarms, fire extinguishers, escape ladders, and more. And I am the fire safety educator for KIDA, and joining me is Sean Summer, who is a highly decorated technical expert who is here to help answer any questions that we may have. So thank you to Sean as well. So I'm just going to jump right in because this is absolutely a topic of passion for me, and that is helping every family stay safe. So what we believe, by the way, is that about 50% of homes are not adequately protected. And you're probably asking me what adequately protected means. So I'm going to show you that as soon as I can get my PowerPoint open. So hold on a minute. Here we go. Boom. I'm hoping everyone can see this. All right. So by the way, feel free to jump in and ask questions whenever you have any, because we want to answer your questions. If you have a question, most likely somebody else does as well. So please jump in and ask a question. But we, through adequate protection, believe that you need 4 things in your home. So the first is smoke alarm, and not just one, but multiple. So we recommend at least one on every floor of your home and one inside your bedroom as well. Because if you think about it, you might be asleep and we want an alarm in that room to help wake you up. Number 2, we want you to have carbon monoxide alarms throughout your home. If you do not have carbon monoxide alarms, please get them as soon as possible. Carbon monoxide is known as the silent killer for a reason, because you can't see it, you can't taste it, and you can't smell it. It's not like natural gas. Natural gas actually has an odor added to it by the utility companies. So carbon monoxide is produced by appliances in your home, like natural gas ranges or natural gas stovetops. Anything that is not powered by electricity can produce carbon monoxide. We also want you to have fire extinguishers throughout your home. I'm going to show you a map in a second. And probably the most important thing in your home, a fire escape plan. We want you to have a fire escape plan. And with this, we want you to know the 2s. So think about it this way. First off, create an escape plan and know 2 ways out. So the front door or the back door. And the reason we want you to have 2 ways out is because one may be blocked in case of an emergency. So have an alternate exit path already in your mind, right? Number 2, we want you to practice it 2 times a year, right? So it can be winter and summer or spring and fall, but 2 times a year, practice it with every member of your family. And here's a very important point that most people are like, wow, and that is practice it during the daytime and the nighttime as well. We want you to know how to get out in both conditions, and we want you to practice it to make sure that muscle memory kicks in case the unthinkable happens in your home. So that's it. So these are the 4 simple steps to safety. Now, to adequately protect your home, I'm going to show you this house right here. So you'll see I've pointed to the areas where we recommend you need smoke alarms. There's at least one on every level, which you can see, except for the attic. Now, this is a common question that we get. If your attic is not climate controlled, then we do not recommend a smoke alarm in your attic or in the garage. We don't want you to have a smoke alarm in the garage just for those reasons. We want you to have, excuse me, I'm getting choked up talking about this. So we want you to have one on every level of the home with careful attention to bedrooms. We want you to have one inside your bedroom to help you wake up. And also, I get a lot of questions about kitchen smoke alarms. So our recommended placement is 10 feet, at least 10 feet from your cooktop, from any appliances that you cook with that may get hot. So remember that, 10 feet, or you might get that false alarm that everybody does not like. And when you get a false alarm, please do not ever pull the batteries out. Just hit the hush button. All right, so I'm going to move on here. We have a lot to cover, so I'm going to move quickly. Carbon monoxide alarms, you can see the placement is very similar to that of smoke alarms. So again, one on every level of the home, and one inside and outside of bedrooms. So here's another thing I just want to point out very quickly, is I hear often from people, hey, I have one CO alarm next to my furnace. That's enough, right? No, it's not. In fact, in most cases, as you can see, it's illustrated here, most of the time, one alarm is not enough. Multiple alarms is what we recommend, strongly recommend. So what happens with COs? CO mixes with the air. It weighs the same as air, so it mixes with the air in your home. What this means for you is that wherever air is in your home, CO can be there as well. So that's why I have a CO alarm in every room of my home, because CO can actually, and yes, this is true, travel through drywall, right? So you can have two bedrooms side by side. The one on the left can have a lethal amount of CO, and the one on the right can have none. It can travel in pockets. It can skip floors. It really can go wherever it feels like. So that's why, and here it is, that takeaway. You can never have enough CO alarms. So consider that. All right, moving on. Fire extinguishers. One on every level of the home. Yes, one in the garage and kitchen. The kitchen is a really important area because over 50% of all fires in the home are actually started in the kitchen. Now, if you think about what you're trying to do in the kitchen, you're actually intentionally setting things on fire, right? So that's why just mishaps happen in the kitchen. And we want you to have a fire extinguisher there so you can quickly grab it and put out small fires. I'm going to talk in a little bit about kitchen fire extinguishers, but just know that we would love for you to have a kitchen fire extinguisher. All right. So let's talk about smoke alarms. So I get a lot of questions about smoke alarms, and I'm going to stop sharing this right now. So we get a lot of questions about smoke alarms. How do I choose a smoke alarm? They really come in a good, better, and best situation. So the first type, the good type, is a replaceable battery type. You know, it's the one that you can buy at the store for about 10 bucks, 15 bucks, and you replace batteries in it over and over every 6 months or so. So here's the trade-off. It's low cost for high maintenance, right? So there's another one that's a step up that has a built-in 10-ear battery, and that's like this one right here. This is a very common option on the market. It's very popular. We have different models for different rooms in the homes to help you decide which ones you want. They have different features on them, just again, designed for the different rooms in your home, like a light or voice alerts, etc., etc. This is the one I recommend. It's a little bit more expensive, but you'll never have to change batteries out over the life of this alarm. So it's a trade-off. Now, the Cadillac of alarms are things called an interconnect. So what an interconnect alarm means is that it talks to the other alarms in your home. So if you have a 2-story house and you have all of your alarms interconnected, let's say that your bedroom's on the 2nd story and you're asleep and a fire breaks out in the kitchen. So with an interconnected system, the moment that the fire was recognized by the smoke alarm nearest the kitchen, all of the alarms in the entire home would go off at the same time because they're talking or they're connected. So that's what an interconnected system is. And the advantage of an interconnected system is that early notification. In today's world, in this environment that I'm in, we have 2 to 3 minutes to escape once the fire starts. Not once the smoke alarm goes off, but once the fire starts. So we want you to get out as quickly as possible. So that is really, those are your kind of very basic options. Number 1, you can change batteries for 10 years. Number 2, you can pay us a little bit more up front and sit back and not worry about changing batteries for 10 years. Or you can step up just a little bit more to an interconnected alarm system. So that's it for smoke alarms. All right, how do you choose a carbon monoxide alarm? And trust me, I get this. You walk up to the aisle and there are a million different options. So we're going to break it down for you. And it's very similar to those of smoke alarms. So you have a good, better, best situation. You have some that are just driven by a battery, and they're typically less expensive. Again, it's that trade-off, right? You have to replace the batteries, low cost and lots of maintenance. And then you have ones that have built-in 10-year batteries, like this one has a built-in 10-year battery, which again, it's that the same benefit of the smoke alarm because they last for 10 years. And you also have ones with display. So that's your step up. And I like the display because I'm so nosy, right? So if I walk by, I'll hit the peak level to see if something's happened while I've been out of the home. So it'll show you in its memory. So this is what I have throughout my house, which is why I'm holding it here showing you. So that is it for CO alarms. Now, let me show you. Fire extinguishers come in a variety of sizes. Sean has one that he's going to hold up, which is the one that I have. So with the fire extinguishers, what we recommend is a general purpose fire extinguisher, which is commonly referred to as an ABC. But what you'll see in the store, it's called a general purpose fire extinguisher. And that just puts out wood and trash and a variety of other things. Now, there is a special kitchen fire extinguisher that was rated class K. If you think K, kitchen, get it? So that's what we recommend for the kitchen because it's specifically designed to put out grease fires. Now, here's the other thing I just want to mention while I'm on this is that if you have a grease fire, do not throw water on it. Do not throw water on it and do not throw baking soda on it. Just either cover it with the lid and let's pray it goes out. And if it doesn't, use the fire extinguisher on it. But I also want to caution when we're talking about fire extinguishers that they do not make you a professional firefighter. Fire extinguishers are designed for 2 purposes. Number 1, they're designed to help put out a very small fire, one that's smaller than your fist, right? Or number 2, to help create a path out of a burning building. So fire extinguishers, that's why the more the merrier with these fire extinguishers. All right, Sean, have I missed anything?
I do want to point out one thing on that's a big question that I get on carbon monoxide alarms, and we get it, I get it all the time, is should a carbon monoxide alarm be placed low or high? And that is probably the most common question I get from most government agencies and code enforcement officers. And the reality of it is a carbon monoxide alarm can be placed either place. As Sharon had mentioned, it weighs the same as air. So when it goes into a room, it disperses equally. And so that's why we do make alarms that can go on the ceiling, that can plug to the wall, or as Sharon had mentioned earlier, are just completely battery operated. So the biggest thing on those alarms is if you have one that's plugs in or it's battery operated, make sure you don't put it right behind a couch and have the couch up against it, because that can prevent you getting the reading as quickly as possible. But for the most part, you can place those anywhere in the room. I had an older home, and the first thing I did is I bought battery operated ones and I put them on a bookshelf just to make sure I had safety before I replaced the rest of my alarms.
Yeah, that's true. And hey, while we're on this, let's talk about replacement, because I saw a wonderful question come over about replacements. So first, let's just address fire extinguishers. How do you know when it needs to be replaced? Portable fire extinguishers need to be replaced every 10 to 12 years. Now, the first thing you'll want to do is look at the gauge here. Right? If it's still in the green, you're fine. And it's under 10 or 12 years, you're fine. If it comes out of the green, then you need to replace it. And there should be a date stamp on this that can help tell you what the manufacturing date is, in case you have forgotten when you purchased your fire extinguisher. So thank you for that wonderful question. Number 2, carbon monoxide alarms need to be replaced between 7 and 10 years. You're like, wow, that's a big range. It is, because it just depends on which unit you have in your house. So some are built to be replaced every 7 years, and some are built to be replaced every 10 years. This one happens to be 10 years. Now, if you have forgotten when you installed your carbon monoxide alarms, then there's a simple workaround. All you have to do is look on the back, and there is a manufacturing date. Add the years that your manufacturer tells you that they should be replaced, and then you'll know what time to replace it. Now, smoke alarms are all 10 years. Every smoke alarm on the market needs to be replaced every 10 years. So if you ask yourself right now, everybody listening, ask yourself, when did I last replace my smoke alarms? Now, if you can't answer that, it's a really good time to check and look on the ceiling. Is your smoke alarm still white? When I moved into this house, my alarms were brown. So, but I, was like, what? So they were the original install from 20 years prior. So I had to replace them immediately. But that color, the brown, yellow, tan, gray, anything other than white, is a really good indicator, because the plastic ages over time. It colors as it ages. So that's a really good indicator. And if you have forgotten when you installed, or you don't know, you bought a home that had smoke alarms already installed, you just don't know, there's a simple workaround. It's a simple twist off the bracket, look on the back, there's a manufacturing date on the back of smoke alarms, and just add 10 years to that, and that is the time to replace. Sean, anything?
No, it's important to think too that when you're talking about 10 years, that it's not to get too technical on it, but the electronic mil specs that are actually in those alarm, they're good for about 10 years. And again, you're going to have dust and dander and things that'll go into the alarm, and it'll degrade the alarm over that time. So we don't just say 10 years because we made that number up. That's through years of testing and development that we have found, and not only us, but third-party companies and agencies like NFPA have studied and said, hey, you know what? You really need to replace those every 10 years.
Yeah, it's an industry-wide thing. And if you think about, that's probably the one part of your home that you don't access to clean. So you probably want to change it at least every 10 years. I mean, if you were to look inside your smoke alarm right now, you might be a little upset. So just think about what, dust collects there. So just think about every 10 years, you replace your air filters, you replace other things, just every 10 years, please, please, please replace your smoke alarms. And I do want to add one caution. Even if you've replaced your batteries every 6 months, and even if you hit the test button and it still looks like it's working, at 10 years, every alarm should be replaced. Every alarm. Doesn't matter who the manufacturer was, at 10 years, the alarm needs to be replaced. All right. So,
Sharon,
mhm.
you're probably about to read them. So we have a couple of questions in the chat. I was just going to read to you, and it seems
Please.
like the most burning question is how to recycle or dispose of an expired fire extinguisher.
John?
There's a couple ways to do it. And the one that we recommend the most is just taking those extinguishers to your local fire equipment distributor. Those guys have the equipment to take it and to recycle them. And so most of your there's fire equipment distributors all over, in all parts of the city. I usually recommend going and just returning those to those folks. Those guys are usually happy to bring those in.
Yeah.
Great. And then we have another question for you guys. If the plug-in CO2 alarms are better than battery operated ones?
They all have the same sensor. It's just the power behind it. So really they're the same. It's just your choice as to what you like better. I happen to prefer the plug-in. That's just me. I kind of got used to it. I like the plug-in, but as Sean mentioned, we've had plenty of people write in to say, hey, I have one of those fancy monitored systems that has, built-in smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms. But I bought one of those battery powered that just sat on my dresser, and it went off last night, and my big fancy monitored system didn't. So your little $10 CO alarm saved our lives. So, there is a need for them, right? They're super important. Just make sure that you have them. But yeah, it's really up to you. They all have the same sensors. It's just the bells and the whistles, whatever you like on it.
And Sharon, that's a good point that I just want to underscore to the people watching tonight. This information is certainly useful for all of us, but make sure you share this with your neighbors, especially your elderly parents, grandparents, neighbors that might not be joining us tonight, because this really is some life-saving information that they can certainly use.
Yes, thank you for saying that. And speaking of that, I brought my neighbors in my house. I happened to bring a new puppy into my house recently. So I would love to talk about pet safety, because it's really become super important. During COVID, pet adoptions have increased anywhere between 40 to 700% year over year. So if anybody out there has a new pet in their family, we would love to hear from you. We are on a real mission to make sure that pets, as well as their humans, stay safe. So every member of the family, 2-legged and 4-legged, deserves fire safety. So the first thing I want everybody out there to know is that pets actually start fires. So they start around 1 million fires every year that cause about $14 million in property damage. So you're like, really, pets start fires? They sure do. So here's how one of the most common causes is you leave leftover food on the stove and your pet jumps up to try to grab it. And they'll accidentally hit a burner on your stovetop and a fire starts. So be very cautious about leaving food on the fire, leaving food on your cooktop, because it could start an unthinkable situation. Another point that I would really like to make is that we hear from pet parents all the time, like, my dog is scared of the sound of a smoke alarm. My cat is scared of the sound of a smoke alarm. They go hide. Well, there is a workaround to this. There's an easy solution. It's training. It's actually familiarizing your pet with the sound of a smoke alarm. So Xander, my new puppy, and I have started training, right? So I will hit the test button and I will move to the door, and then I'll hit the test button and move to the door. And we've been doing this for several months. So the goal here is to, number one, make him not afraid of that loud, shrill sound. You know what I mean? So he is adapting to it. And number two is to help him know what to do in case he hears that sound. Because again, we have such a short period of time to escape a home. We want pets to get outside as quickly as we do, right? We do not want them to run and hide under the bed or in the closet or behind the sofa, where it's going to cost us time as we try to search and rescue and get them out. So that's the biggest thing that we want to convey is please start help your pets and help you, and start training your pets to the sound of a smoke alarm. And it's really easy. Xander and I are at the point now, like I said, where he just kind of looks at me when I hit the smoke alarm test button. So he's really becoming familiar with it, and he's starting to move to the door. Just know it takes a little bit of time. It's not going to happen overnight, but at least your pets become familiar, and you know, you're helping your whole family. You're helping keep them all safe. And we also strongly encourage everyone to install pets inside stickers, because when first responders actually pull up to the scene, they survey for things that say pets are inside. That helps them ascertain what they need to do first. So we strongly recommend those. You can install those next to front doors and back doors, places that you might enter and exit. John, anything?
No, that was perfect.
Sean is a new pet parent as well.
I am. Multiple adoptions this year.
We've brought a lot of four-legged love into our lives, and thank you to all the people who've opened up their homes to those pets that need a family. So thank you for that. We do have some pets inside window clings that we will be happy to share with the tool bank. So I will send those. So please ask them for some, because they are about to be the proud recipients. So, but also I want to point out pets and carbon monoxide. We get a lot of questions about pets and carbon monoxide. Are they susceptible? And the answer is absolutely they are. So as a matter of fact, their respiration rate is twice that of a human. So if you think about canary in the coal mine, that's what we've got with pets and carbon monoxide. So for every 2 breaths, they take 2 breaths for hour 1. So they actually take more carbon monoxide in than we do. So it's really super important to have a working carbon monoxide alarms. And by working, I mean they've been replaced and the batteries are working and they're plugged in. Carbon monoxide alarms throughout the home, because pets can actually become susceptible before we do. And here's the scary thing about pets and carbon monoxide is that the symptoms are so non-specific. And by that, I mean, they can be attached to a variety of illnesses. So in fact, experts believe that pet carbon monoxide poisoning is often misdiagnosed because it feels like other illnesses. So the symptoms start with nausea and vomiting. And when I say that to you, like you're thinking, well, that could be food poisoning, that could be they ate something wrong, it could be a variety of things, and that's right. So then the next symptom is labored breathing. And then it progresses into things like difficulty moving, like they are arthritic. And it can, they might have an unbalanced gait. It's been described as your pet acts drunk, you know, where they might lie in the floor screaming in pain, which could be attached to arthritis. It can go into coma and blindness and deafness and a variety of other things. So here's my advice. Number 1, have carbon monoxide alarms installed throughout your home. Number 2, if you suspect carbon monoxide poisoning with your pet, please take your pet's health into your own hands and go to the vet and say, I think maybe something happened with carbon monoxide. I'm not sure. Can you help me rule it out? So take that into your own hands. Be your pet's advocate. Absolutely.
I think it's, yeah, I think it's important to add too. I think, you know, when you start talking about symptoms and why, you know, we're so passionate about carbon monoxide alarms is just as Sharon was mentioning, you know, with your pets, the same progression is with people. And so your first symptoms are you get a headache, you know, and then you go, I mean, that could be anything, right? I mean, we've all had headaches before. And sometimes you don't feel so good. It's like, well, maybe I'm getting the flu, or maybe I'm just not, you know, maybe I was out too late last night, you know. And the natural progression sometimes is for you to take a nap or go to sleep, which could be the worst thing to do because you may not get back up. So, you know, having that carbon monoxide alarm in your house is going to identify if that's the issue of why you're feeling bad. And the other thing to know too is, you know, with a carbon monoxide alarm, if it does go off and it does go there, obviously you want to leave the house, but you can also open up your windows and get that carbon monoxide out of your house as well. So, which it's good to know that, because if it's fire related, you wouldn't want to open the window and add oxygen into that mix. But a carbon monoxide, you would. That you open up the window and get more air circulation and leave the house.
Yeah. If you ever suspect carbon monoxide poisoning in your house, get out. You don't dial 911 first. Get out. Get into fresh air as quickly as possible, and take your pets as well, right? Sean, what else did I miss?
Spot on. There you go.
All right. So here's just the last thing I would like to mention is we're all part of a community. So check on your neighbors, right? So especially your elderly neighbors. And here's the thing. The elderly are especially at risk for fire deaths, unfortunately. But we can help, right? So anyone over 65 is generally about 2.5 times at risk for not surviving a house fire than the average adult. Anyone over 85 is at 4 times the risk of not surviving a house fire than the average adult. But we can do something about this. So go to your mother, to your grandmother, to your aunts and your uncles, and check their smoke alarms. We actually went on a canvas. I do this often. I go on canvases with local fire departments. So we went on a canvas and we went to a man's house, and we knocked on the door, and I said, "Hi, can we check your smoke alarms?" And he was like, "Oh, they're fine. They're fine. I just changed the batteries. They're fine." And I'm like, "Well, would you mind if we just checked anyway?" And so we did. And those alarms were from 1993. And they didn't have batteries in them. So we replaced them and put in interconnected alarms because the house called for them. His wife was disabled and she was having difficulty moving. But these are the kinds of things that we really need to check on and help our elderly and help our neighbors in our community. So if you ever need any resources, please reach out to KIDA and I will help you. So Sean, anything?
No, you know, the one thing I would add to that is if you have people that you know that are even more sensitive to carbon monoxide, we also have a ultra sensitive alarm actually that can go down to very, very low levels. And we do see that, you know, with some of our, folks that are older in age, they're a little more susceptible. So we do have those as well.
Cool. And here's the last thing. I want to end this on a positive note, right? So you see my tree up, right? I'm festive this year. So like a lot of other people, I put my tree up. I got my holiday on early. So you might be the same way, or you might be planning it for next week. But we all need a little bright in our life right now. So just be very cautious when you are installing your tree, when you are doing the lights, these lovely lights that go on the tree. Don't put more than 3 of these together. No more than 3 string lights together, or you really run the risk of overloading your electrical outlet, and that could spark a fire. literally. And if you have a live tree, I do not, this beauty is not live, but if you have a real tree, make sure to keep it watered. I mean, on the regular. If you could water it every hour, I'd be happy about it, because we want to keep that tree as fresh and alive as long as possible. And if you have pets in the house, block the water to the tree, to the live tree, right? Because pets actually want to drink that water, and it's full of bacteria and fertilizer, and it can really make them sick. So block the water off. You can actually block the whole tree off and put a gate around the tree to keep your pets away from the presents it might be under the tree. And if there are any food presents under the tree, please pick them up immediately, because your pets will smell them and they will, you know, hurt the tree and maybe themselves trying to get to it and maybe eating chocolate. The last thing I want to mention is, if you are a person who hangs stockings, yay, who doesn't love a stocking? I should show you guys my giant stocking. I have a giant, it's like a 5-foot stocking, but I'm not going to. Okay, so, but if you're shopping for holiday decorations, number one, look for the labeling, flame resistant or flame retardant. Flame resistant or flame retardant, because we want to make sure that these don't catch fire, right? We want to be as safe as possible. And most of them are, but just make sure and shop for that. And then number two, if you hang your stockings on the chimney with care, but you want to use your fireplace, take these down off the mantle and keep them down until that fireplace is completely cooled. This applies to not only wood burning fireplaces, but gas logs as well. Make sure that it's cool before you hang your stockings back up. And the most important point I can make, especially as we're coming up to December, is these guys, candle. Oh, people love candles. They do. I happen to be in that group, guilty as charged. But that live flame is a hazard. In fact, December is the #1 month in the year for home fires started by candles. So we strongly encourage you to consider a flameless candle. It gives the same warmth and ambiance as a lit candle, but without the fire risk. So instead of lighting up, turn it on. So that's a difference. All right. Sean, anything?
Oh, that was great. I love flameless candles.
I do too. They're safe. And you can get potpourri or, you know, something to add that.
We have them on remotes. We've got them on remotes. We can turn them on all over the place with a remote control. I'm a sucker for a remote.
You guys, Sean is so fancy. He's so fancy. I am not. He's bouge. All right. So, so any questions, Jen?
So I don't see any in the chat, but we'll give a couple seconds for people to type in some last minute questions if they have them. I mean, that was very informative. I had questions going in and you just answered them without me asking. I'm not your first time giving this spiel, but it was certainly great information. And just please, to reiterate, share this with people that you know, because this really is some life-saving information that everyone can utilize. You will get this recording tomorrow morning. Press forward, watch it over the holidays in your safe environment.
I will add one more thing, if I may, is with a fire extinguisher, know the PASS system, PASS, right? So it's pull, aim, spray, and sweep. So just know how to use one. But here's a common question that I get a lot is, what's that yellow tie on the, do you see it, the yellow tie? That is there to guarantee that the fire extinguisher will work. So leave it on. Leave that yellow tie on when you pull it out of the box. When you go to pull the pin out, that yellow tie will break. But we want to make sure that the pin stays in place, right? So it guarantees it. One other thing, in case you need to put out a grease fire with a fire extinguisher, with the standard fire extinguisher, you would aim at the top of the fire with a grease fire, right? So think grease fire, top. The reason is we don't want you to blow powder at such high speeds at boiling, flaming grease, because it can actually push it up and make the fire bigger and put it on your cabinets and other things. So aim at the top. The goal with the grease fire is to smother that fire. You want to smother that thing out. So just remember, aim at the top. And with any other fire, though, you would aim towards the base of the fire. Sean?
Absolutely. If you're looking at a specific, I know Sharon mentioned the Class K fire extinguisher. We also make one that's called a 711A, and pretty common out there. And it actually has a proprietary nozzle on it to do just what Sharon mentioned. It actually slows the rate of the chemical to come out, and it kind of lays it a little bit easier on top of the stove. So it does help a little bit with the spread of grease and helps kind of smother it out.
It does a nice arc. Right,
Yep.
This is a nice little arc. The last thing I'll say, because I happen to have it here, if you have natural gas appliances, and you're worried about leaks, because we've had a few incidents across the country of late with natural gas in homes and some explosions. So we do, in fact, make an alarm that has a CO and natural gas in one. So you can also consider that as an option in case you have propane, natural gas, or other gas-driven appliances in your home.
Great. Some certainly good last-minute tips. And I don't see any more questions. So with that, I will say thank you both for your time. And truly, I've learned a lot. And I hope that people share this wealth of knowledge that we just learned. And I hope everyone has a safe and restful holiday season and next week.
Yes.
And we hope to see everyone again right here on December 2nd for some HVAC knowledge. So thank you all and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.